This is the second in the 2023 lecture series of the Museo ng Kaalamang Katutubò or MusKKat. Welcome! And to those who are joining us for the first time, we are delighted to see you, if virtually. It is April, Buwan ng Kaluto or Month of Philippine Cuisine. So our lecture is about food. This afternoon's lecture is about an item of food, one that some consider as ulam or viand, some as a side dish. This is buro, fermented rice. We've asked painter, printmaker, furniture designer and crafter, writer, TV host, connoisseur collector, chef, and friend Claude Tayag to explain buro and the special relationship between Pampangos and the tidbit, which, it bears to say, takes a bit of getting used to. It is an acquired taste. We don't know anybody else who can do this as expertly as Claude can. He has also written, by the way, about buro for MusKKat's forthcoming book on food. But more about Claude later, when MusKKat colleague Raymond Santiago makes a proper introduction. Meanwhile, for those who have just connected with us, permit us an introduction to and of the Museo ng Kaalamang Katutubò. MusKKat, an organization engaged in collecting, studying, and safeguarding material culture as well as the non-material part, the intangibles, devising cultural education programs, and pursuing museum development, with Unilab as its main benefactor. I am Corazon Alvina. Kaalaman, knowledge, ancestral and contemporary, is at the core of the mission and vision of the Museo ng Kaalamang Katutubò or MusKKat. MusKKat is committed to rediscovering, recuperating, celebrating, and preserving Philippine inherited and transmitted kaalaman. MusKKat's programs and projects are opportunities within which the public can discover, understand, and appreciate the depth and diversity of layers of Filipino kaalaman. Indeed, sharing knowledge is a good part of MusKKat's work. The remarkable features of Philippine tangible and intangible culture inspire and animate MusKKat's presentations. A keen custodian of tangible culture, MusKKat's online programs and publications in print with objects from the collection are conceptualized, mindful of careful research and ethical curatorship, maintaining the integrity of objects within the context particular to their source cultures. To ensure accurate and correct scholarship, MusKKat engages and collaborates with respected academics and acknowledged subject matter experts. MusKKat probes for the inspiration or spiritual force behind the creation of culturally significant and aesthetically sound objects. The most exquisite textile, the handsomest weapon, astonishing basketry. MusKKat is sensitive to the physicality and materiality of the objects themselves, to guide the study of processes and technology, and shepherd the conservation strategy for the well-being of the collection. MusKKat has also operationalized guidelines for registration and conservation. The bonds between humans and their environment and the balance that must be maintained between them receive the utmost regard from MusKKat, as do the creative philosophy and aesthetic integrity, the outstanding skills, and the commitment of our artists. MusKKat acknowledges the diwa, spiritual sense and essence in kaalaman. MusKKat perseveres to encourage, inspirit, and invigorate pride, admiration, and affection for Kaalamang Katutubò, as indeed for and in all things Philippine. As promised, we will listen to more about Mr. Tayag. MusKKat colleague Raymond Santiago will do that for us. Raymond, please.
Thank you, Ms. Cora, and good afternoon to everyone. Allow me to introduce our speaker in this session. Claudio Suarez Tayag, more popularly known as Claude, is a Filipino artist, restaurateur, and a food writer, pursuing multiple careers to last several lifetimes. Born in Angeles, Pampanga, He graduated with a bachelor's degree in economics in UP Diliman, but also undertook several courses in architecture at the same time. As an artist, he is best known for depicting scenes of impressionistic landscapes and scenes of Philippine folk festivals and religious imagery. He belonged to a circle of friends, noted personalities in Philippine arts and letters, who would later be collectively known as the Dimasalang Group. Their influence spawned his early works, acrylic and watercolor paintings, leading to his first exhibit in Manila in 1978. After several other exhibits and shows locally and abroad, solo or with other local and foreign artists, he would have his retrospective exhibition at the National Museum of the Philippines in July 2019. His artworks are also found in the collections of the Metropolitan Museum of Manila, the Bangko Sentral, as well as corporate and private collections. In the 90s, he also did woodworking and sculpture. As a food missionary, he advocated for Philippine cuisine, the use of local produce, and the promotion of local tourism in his column, Turo Turo, in the Philippine Star since 2000. His first book, Food Tour, is a collection of these essays, peppered liberally with his drawings and recipes. He is also one of 6 chefs who co-authored Culinaria, a guidebook to Philippine cuisine, serving as its food stylist as well. With his wife, Mary Ann Kyok, he co-authored the best-selling culinary guidebook, Linamnam, Eating One's Way Around the Philippines. Both books are on their second edition, updated and enriched. The couple reside in Angeles City in Balay Dutong, where diners at the by reservation only restaurant will find the couple serving sumptuous traditional Filipino spread in a 3-hour 10-course meal. Incidentally, Sir Claude is the man who introduced sisig to the late Anthony Bourdain. As culinary ambassador, he participated in several tourism department-sponsored local and international culinary promotion events. He represented the country at the Memphis May Festival in 2012 and was one of the Filipino guest speakers at the first Madrid Fusion in Manila in 2015. In May 2016, he won the People's Choice Award at the Embassy Chef's Challenge in Washington, D.C., besting 25 other chefs from other countries with his version of the glutinous rice dish bringhe, using heirloom black rice from Banawe. Adding to his many hats, he hosted a TV show, Chasing Flavors, for the Metro Channel, doing just this among our myriad regional cuisines. In January this year, he launched his latest book, The Ultimate Filipino Adobo, Stories Through the Ages. He is presently on a 5-city U.S. promotional tour, culminating with his watercolor painting exhibit at the Philippine Center in New York. As MusKkat is always committed to bringing the best resource person for any and all its topics for its afternoon talk series, we are proud to present Philippine Culinary Ambassador Claude Tayag in this session with his topic, the Buro, an essential Pampango dish. I now turn over the virtual floor to Sir Claude. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to talk about our topic for the day. Well, let's start. The word Buro in itself, no, it's like in the Filipino context, Buro means it's the it's a kind of technique of preserving, call it pickling, fermenting any produce, meat or seafood with salt. And this is a way of literally preserving it, especially during the pre-refrigeration days when there's so much in abundance, like during harvest time, for example, where there's a bounty harvest. So people tended to preserve it to like in a way para bang not just to prolong or to preserve the thing in question, but to create a new dish. Meaning, for example, like given a mango, pag pinikal mo yan, magiging burong mangga, di ba? And that can stay forever until hanggang maubos. Even then when there's the short crabs or the talangka, binuburo yan, aasinan overnight, tapos buburo nila, and then pipigain yun the next day. And they saute it, they cook it until it becomes a paste. No? So the burong talangka, we call it the taba ng talangka, is the aligit nasa Tagalog. And the only way to preserve the thing is to ferment it with salt. In the same way that the meats, for example, the tapa, our pindang, which is the original, the pindang babi, pindang damulag. Basically, it's like cured meat, and the present day, the most popular present day kind of preserved cured meat pork would be the tocino. They just added sugar and maybe the coloring to it, no? But it's all about the salt fermenting thing. And the term Buro nowadays, especially here in Pampanga, it refers almost exclusively to the fermented rice that we have as a sausawan. Call it as a side dish, maybe. It's not really a sausawan per se, but it's a sides. And it's usually made with shrimp or with any freshwater fish such as tilapia, hito, the dalag or mudfish, and then it could be with bangus as well, or the gurami. Again, it's very rare nowadays, no, to have that. So it's basically you salt a cooked watery rice, parang lugaw. Pag lamig nun, bubuhusan ng asin. So overnight, leave it at room temperature. Overnight, ibuburo mo yon. And then separately, either you would have raw shrimps or even a raw fish na fillet na yon. Something like this. This is made with tilapia, and this is the one with the shrimp. So this is the raw form. And then the next day, you mix it together. In the olden days, they place it in a palayok, no, the clay pot, and do it in layers. The wet rice first, and then a layer of the fish, the salted fish, and then the rice again, and the salted fish. So until you fill the jar, the clay pot, and then they cover that with the banana leaf and close tightly. So like after 30 days, the fermentation varies from house to house. Like the minimum would be 30 days, and then they want it more pungent, more literally, you can say, biting. It could be more than 30 days. So the thing is, after 30 days, they open it, they remove the leaves, and then you get like maybe a ladle full, and then they saute that with the trinity of Philippine cuisine is the garlic, onion, and tomato. So gigisa yon. And then that is your sausawan for the day that's needed, no? And then and then they cover it, the clay pot again and all that. So the thing is, it's a very basic, I would imagine in the olden days, like every Pampango household would have that in their pantry, given any day of the week, at any occasion. And I must say that this is found in the most humble nipa hut or even a mansion. It's every Kapampangan's, you can say, go-to dish, in the sense that it's not eaten by itself. It's always comes with like a fried freshwater fish or grilled fish, like again the tilapia, the mudfish, the hito, and then eaten with fresh mustasa leaves and or boiled ampalaya and okra. And anywhere a Kapampangan will find himself in the world, he would crave for this, he would hanker for this, and that, in a way, that is the flavor of home. Oh, by the way, you know, in assembling the salt fermented rice and fish or shrimp into the palayok, you know, layers upon layers, and finally they cover it with the banana leaf. They have to place a baldosa. This is like the square foot of a thick slab of tile. So this is to prevent the gas that is formed through the fermentation to escape. Otherwise, it's going to explode with the plain leaf, no, as cover. So you need that. So after 30 days, then they open it, and then you will have the 30-day fermented buro ready for the picking. Well, as to the type of rice used to make buro, I would say it's just the regular everyday rice is used. The difference is that when cooking the rice for the buro, more water is required. It's like making lugaw. So the end result will be a watery kind of rice, no? But as a matter of fact, the people from Candaba, they refer to this wet rice as lelut. Lelut in Kapampangan refers to like lugaw literally, but it can mean like lelut manok. That is the lugaw with manok or arroz caldo generally, no? Or we have lelut mais with corn and gata. Lelut balatong. Balatong would be munggo. So again, with gata and then sugar, of course. So that's how it is made. It's basically you start off with the wet rice, let it cool, and then you salt it, ferment it overnight, and then you add whatever fish or shrimp that is also fermented in salt. So that's basically the way it is made. You know, since buro making is mainly a home activity, it's hardly documented. So I cannot, for example, I cannot give you the ratio of the rice to salt and all that. But even in the 1732 Pampango dictionary, Pampango Spanish dictionary of Bergaño, it is explained there the difference between the balo-balo and the buro. No? When we say buro, again, it's with the fish. The balo-balo is slightly salted and it has a shorter shelf life. So the thing is, it is fermented only like for 3 to 5 days, and then it's sauteed right away for immediate use. But nowadays, of course, you can refrigerate the cooked one. So, and then the buro with the salted fish, on the other hand, is fermented for 30 days and it's heavily salted. That's why it lasts longer. And then again, this one maybe needs more tomato, onion, and to counter the saltiness. And you need very little very little quantity when actually eating it because it's so salty. So that's mainly the difference in the two. And again, the saltiness and the term of fermentation defines the finished product. The balo-balo is like the cheddar to the Americans, very mild, and for everybody's consumption. Whereas the burong is that it's fermented for like at least 30 days. It has a pungent, you can say, well, aroma. It could be a stench for the non-believers. So the thing is, it has a very sharp, biting taste. So it's like the British Stilton or the French Roquefort. So again, it's an acquired taste. So it's really up to, like us Pampangos, we have like here in Angeles City, and I would say San Fernando as well as Santa Rita towns in Pampanga, we tend to prefer the balo-balo, the buro with shrimp, mild. Whereas the people from Candaba, Mabalacat, and other towns near the Pampanga River, they prefer it really fermented. Okay, allow me to read a portion of what I wrote for a future book of Muscat on food. So it goes like this. So it's like rice is grown in the Cordilleras as a staple, and to make tapway. So do they ferment or make buro there as well? So my answer is, it's like in the Fugao culinary tradition, rice is fermented mainly to produce tapway or rice wine. But when the liquid wine is separated from the sour rice grains, this mash is called pupud or bubud. This byproduct is eaten as is, as a snack, or toasted further until dry like pinipig. It is stored in a coliko basket, hung at home to keep it safe from rodents, or carried on long trails. Ito yung ini-snacking nila para ngayon yung trail mix, di ba? Ang long hikes and mountain climbing and all that. We have this energy snacks. So, pupud is quite similar to the Ilocano binuburan or binubudan. So, in both its preparation and consumption, it has known properties that aids digestion. It is colloquially referred to in Ilocos as kanin na nakakalasing. So, I was asked if there is a social connotation or significance in the preparation even of and eating of the buro. I must say there's none. And as I mentioned earlier, like buro is served in the humblest of nipa huts or in a mansion's house. Like this is especially true in any part of Pampanga. So the thing is like, I have this anecdote that I read many years ago, and I confirmed with a recent interview by phone with the former Congressman Satur Ocampo. So here's how I wrote it for the book, for the Muscat book. Okay. Nanong nanang mo nang, ima, no, inang. What are you grilling, inang? So the youngest of Kasatur's 11 siblings would shout to his mother as he approached their bamboo nipa house, walking from school. The former journalist, activist, and congressman, Saturnino Ocampo, recalls the food of his childhood growing up in Santa Rita, Pampanga. His father was a kasamak, or magsasaka, a landless tenant farmer, while his mother tended house, making sure there's always something to eat for her brood of 12. Though cash-strapped, they were basically self-sufficient with food from the free-range native chickens and their eggs, the backyard-grown vegetables like tomatoes, mustasa, okra, eggplant, upo, ampalaya, and plenty of wild-gathered creatures like frogs, kamaru, gurami, mudfish, and catfish, and of course, the unlimited supply of homemade burong asan. So, there was like, again, this is like a farmer's house, and yet Buro was there, and they had it maybe on a daily basis, or even, so that is the food that they grew up with, and that's the food that they miss from every time. Satur told me every time he would eat buro, it reminds him of his mother and that nipa hat growing up. Well, he told me actually it's not a nipa hat per se, it's a big bamboo nipa hat. So because they're 12, right? So the thing is, and the father was a farmer. So again, as I mentioned, it's really a food to be enjoyed by all classes of Kapampangans. And then meanwhile, my better half, Marian de la Cruz Kyok, grew up with her grandma, Apong Pepang Lin de la Cruz, in Mabalacat City. Their house was built in 1932. An Art Deco two-story house, considered a mansion during that era, designed by Andres Luna de San Pedro, no less. So again, this is the opposite of what Kasatur situation was, right? So, though Apong Pepang couldn't cook, she was known to be fastidious in the kitchen. When it came to the affairs of the kitchen, like, you know, being a sugar planter, she had the means and know-how to make at home the sukang tubo, aslamatbu we call it, the burong asan, burong talangka, heko would be the shrimp paste residue, also known as the Chinese bagoong. They even made nata de coco from scratch. And this was in the 1930s, mind you. And of course they have the kalame nasi, the rice cake, the haleyang ubi, the haleyang gatas, the mulag, that's the pasillas de leche to the non-Kapampangans, no? And she had trained her cook of more than 50 years in Mangsaning to do most everything from scratch. So, though our homes were a mere 20 kilometers away from each other, the disparity could have been the distance between Mars and Venus when it came to Buro. That is. So, we say balo-balo in Angeles, they say burong asan in Mabalacat. While the former is mild and rather bland, lightly salted, like 3 to 5 days aging, as I mentioned earlier. So, the latter has a sharp, the burong asan has a sharp, biting tang and a strong pungent smell. You know, it's 30 days minimum aging. You know, it's stench, well, as far as I'm concerned. And she says its aroma could be traced a mile away. Well, our good friend Sandy Dasa, who is like in my side of the track more or less, describes it as sukang pusa, meaning it's like cat's vomit. So Apong Pepang used to make this highly priced buro and gave it away to her neighbors. So the much awaited news that Apong Pepang's buro was being given away always spread like wildfire. It's like, you know, they anticipated receiving it. And it inevitably was the talk of the town. It's like the new Beaujolais announcements, like Le Buro est arrivé, Le Buro est arrivé. But it's really a big fanfare in Mabalacat, and it's an acquired taste Well, let's just call it balo-balo. Let's call balo-balo the entry level to Buro appreciation. Okay, balo-balo, Buro is, again, it's a very personal thing. Like, you can have it in different ways, and I will not say there is one correct way or the other. So in my case, I like eating the burong hipon, the balo-balo, by itself, with, of course, wrapped with mustasa leaf, and then the grilled or fried hito, the catfish, and then you roll it and eat it like a sushi. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of the time that I had this interview with Anthony Bourdain in year 2008, when I had him sample this, exactly the same, and then he said, this is like the original sushi is actually vinegared rice, or it's really not vinegared rice nowadays, but it's the fermenting rice that's about to turn sour. And then you eat it with the fish and all that. So it's exactly that, he said. So again, I like eating it by itself, because having rice on the side is kind of redundant, because it's already the rice itself, right? The rice dish. So it's a sushi kind of thing. You don't eat sushi with rice, because it has rice already. Unlike, whereas like having, I've met several people told me, we used to sell the bottled burong hipon in the supermarkets, and they used to buy it there, and they eat it. One person ate it directly from the bottle and spread it over crackers, and she said it's like having cheese. It's like, the texture, the flavor. It's a mild cheese, so she uses it as a spread. So again, the application will depend on the person. So again, with the burong isda naman, it's kind of fermented longer because it has high salt content. You have to eat it with rice to tone down the saltiness. So again, the application can vary from person to person, really. There's no fixed, you can say, way of eating it. On a recent trip to Kaalamáng Katutubò, I accidentally discovered that they have Buro there. So I went around the wet market, and then I saw this like plastic bags, balloons of white stuff. So I asked the lady vendor, like, ano po yan? Sabi ko gano'n, ano po yan? Is that Buro? Sabi ko, burong Kapampangan? Sabi ko gano'n, it looked familiar to me. It's like, that's how they sell it in the wet markets here. So the thing was, no, that's burong Ilocano, sabi niya. Ha? Meron bang burong Ilocano? Ano po pagkaiba? Well, yung Kapampangan, nilalagyan nilang angka. So I can imagine, similar to the balaw-bala of Angono. So the thing was, ano po sabi niya, yung burong Kapampangan nilalagyan ng angka, ayaw nila yun dito, sabi nung matanda. Tapos, ano naman po yung burong Ilocano? Yun lang, parang burong isda lang, tapos ginigisa sa, again, the Trinity, bawang, sibuyas, kamatis. Tapos, of course, burong isda yan, no? Tapos, inuulam daw sa sinasabayan sa, again, boiled eggplant, ampalaya, and okra. Well, same thing as us, no? But the thing is like, ano po yung isda na kinakain nyo, pinapares nyo dyan? And then, in a quizzical way, it's like, she asked, ha? Nagtataka siya, bakit meron akong tanong na saan inuulam yung kanilang buro? Ha? May isda na yun eh. Yun na yung ulam. Sabi niya, well, spoken like a true Ilocano. Para bang sa kanila, ulam na yun eh. So, no need for other, let's say, fried or grilled fish. So, ganun yung Ilocano buro. I'm not sure whether this was like, but remember, Kaalamang is in the northern part of Tarlac, nearer to the border, the boundary of, you can say, Pangasinan. So most of the people there are Ilocano speaking. So that's why in the market there's this famous kamiling chicharon, they call it. The same as the bagnet, the Ilocano bagnet. So being sold in the wet market in like this mound. So talagang ang sarap umikot dun sa ano talaga. So kakaiba. Maybe one of these days, and they have also this famous, but I'm digressing. So anyway, that's the Burong Ilocano found in Kamiling, Tarlac. Well, as I mentioned earlier, like the term Buro could apply to most anything, especially in the Kapampangan kitchen. Like, well, for one, we have like the, we call this the burong, the ebon buro. Ebon is the itlog, no? The egg. So, na binuro. So, literally, it's the, well, the salted egg or the itlog na maalat sa Tagalog. And then, of course, we have the burong talangka. And then the pindang damulag, it can also apply to pindang, means salt fermented. And it could be the burong. Nowadays, they still make that in Candaba. They call it burong babi. And this is the original tocino. In the olden days, it was just salt fermented and cured for like a week, and it turned sour. Just like what pindang damulag is. This is the beef tapa. No, kara beef tapa, I mean. So, it's salty, sour. And then it was just like in the 1960s when Mrs. Lolita Hizon, you can say, literally invented the present-day tocino, which is the sweet cured pork. So that's how it evolved from the pindang burong babi to the present-day tapa, and then to the tocino, just by adding sugar. So again, we have like burong mangga when in season. We have burong mustasa when like the leftover leaves from lunch, instead of letting it just wilt and throw away, you can pickle this in brine, a combination of salt, vinegar, and sugar. Maybe the sugar is just salt and vinegar, and then you just dip it there, make it ferment for like a few days. Then that's your burong mustasa. It has so many applications with whatever excess in your kitchen you have. You know, although buro can be found in other areas in the Philippines, it is, I must say, it is identified with us Kapampangans because it is us who, you can say, to this day have persisted in making and eating it. It has become, or I must say, it is part of our daily staple of like at any given day or the week or the month, somebody would have balo-balo buro in their fridge. So it's the go-to dish that suddenly you have a craving for this. So you have that. For a lot of people, they would have their adobo or other dishes in the fridge, but for a Kapampangan, this is it. So I guess really that's how it is identified nowadays. When you say buro, it's the Kapampangan who have literally mastered in preparing and eating it. So if you have questions about buro, especially the Kapampangan buro, just throw your questions, and I will try my best to answer them. And I look forward to these questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sir Claude, for a most interesting and a most informative discussion this afternoon, talk this afternoon. Nakakagutom. We have with us Sir Claude, I am told. With your permission, Sir Claude, I'd like to
Huwag niyo
begin.
akong sir, Kuya Cloud na lang.
Oh, okay, sir. Claude, with your permission, I'd like to begin with a series of questions that our
Yes,
audience
please.
has raised. I hope we can begin.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Before we begin, I'd like to address the audience first. If you have questions for Sir Claude, please do raise them, write them down in the comment section of the Facebook page, and we will have Sir Claude address them. Yeah. First question. Um, is eating bagoong with buro considered redundant gastronomically?
That's never done. It's redundant, really. I mean, meaning one is already. I mean, in its own. It should be eaten in its own.
Okay.
Yung buro in itself, as we call it, it's already like the sausawan, no? It's the main thing. So you don't mix it with anything else. And then, as a matter of fact, we don't even add sili to it. Unlike when you have bagoong, maalat ngayon, fermented ngayon, in a way, it's a burong something. I mean, if by definition, it's like salt fermented thing, we mix it because it's too salty. We mix it with vinegar or calamansi, di ba? Pero yung buro by itself, yun na yun.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Another question, sir. What is angkak? I hear it all the time, but no one has explained what it is.
It's basically it's like a yeast.
Okay.
Sorry, Nanada.
Apo.
It's like it's Chinese in origin. It's salt fermented. No, it's a yeast and at the same time preservative from China. That's why in itself it's excuse me, ano yan?
Yung fruit na plum.
Okay, so it's not native to us. It's
Okay.
from China. It's made of plums. That's why the color red. So it's used as to preserve the rice that is being fermented.
Also, it's called saltpeter daw.
I guess that's the equivalent of saltpeter. Salitre.
Salitre. Okay.
Yeah.
So salitre is more readily used as it is more readily available, I suppose.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Sige, sir. Another question, why the mulag daw? Is the carabao meat preferred to cow's meat? Is it a question of availability or accessibility?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, the mulag, the carabao, like, you know, being the beast of burden, pag matanda na yan, kakatayin yun, I mean, to sell as meat. So, remember, like, like myself, my personal experience was like growing up in the 1960s, beef or cattle was like very, very expensive and rare in the sense that it came all the way from Batangas and it was only available in the local markets like once a week. Whereas the carabao, the mulag, is there, meaning we are surrounded like Pampanga, of course, like and the rest of the provinces in Central Luzon, which are basically agricultural in nature. So they have the mulag on, I mean, the carab beef on a daily basis.
Okay.
So more accessible talaga and affordable. The price of the mulag meat is a lot cheaper than beef.
Okay.
And I guess because of being like the, anong tawag dito, yung talagang tigulang, the old the old carabao that is no longer used in the field.
Mm.
It's meat. It's very, very tough. And I get that the only way to make it edible is by salt fermenting it. Talagang
Okay.
they have to cure it to make it really edible. I mean, talagang soft and tender. Di ba ganun yung nature nung anything fermented?
Yes, come to
Ganun
think
ang
of it,
mangyayari.
opo, tama naman,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Okay. We have a question from Raymond Marciada. Marcaida.
Yala.
Marcaida. Oh. And this is addressed in the vernacular. I hope you don't mind, sir.
Pangan. Yep.
Pwede bang masira ang buro kapag di maayos ang pagsasama-sama ng mga sangkap nito?
Yung fermenting itself actually, medyo maselan yung paggawa niyan eh. Cross-contamination lang ng konti. Yung lalagyan mo, yung mga kamay mo. So, there's this expression just like in gardening, a person has a green thumb. Yung sa Kapampangan, sinasabi nila, dahil ano na kasi mabulok. Parang mabulok, as in literally mabaho yung kamay, no? Meaning, mabulok kaya gamat, meaning mabaho yung kamay. But talagang, it takes some, because this is not, I mean, being Buro, it's not really, hasn't really been scientifically or properly, you can say academically researched and documented the making of Buro, that is, na talagang, it's just handed down from generation to generation. And like we buy ourselves Buro from the market.
Yes.
Isa o dalawa lang yung gumagawa for the whole town.
Yes. Nowadays,
yung
lalo
suki.
pa ngayon.
So sila yung not just everybody can make Buro, easy at it may seem, no? So iba yung sinasabi yung pag pinagsama-sama yung iba-ibang sangkap. So I guess that would mean, well, it's so basic. It's just salt, boiled rice, and the raw fish or shrimp. But the thing is, and there's the element of time. That is very important. And I guess that's where that's where the difference matters, no? The like how long that it's going to be fermented.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Another question for Carmela Taob. Good afternoon. I've noticed some Buro are colored pink. Is that the color of the food, or was that intentional?
Yeah, so yung pink na yan, actually, it comes from the angkap we just spoke about. It's when you angkap in its pure form, it's very, very red. Parang yung itlog na maalat, nakita mo kanina, yung may shell. Parang ganun kapula. So when mixed with the white rice, so there becomes pink.
Okay. Another question. Is there a maximum amount of rice to be effectively prepared into Buro? If one makes a lot, would there be a difference in the taste and the texture?
Oh yeah, the amount of rice. Ako, my gauge in like a good burong asa, meaning the buro with fish. Pag kukunti masyado yung fish, para bang tumatabang yung the whole buro itself, when you gisa it, when you saute it. And the more, ito yung ginagawa nila nowadays, para bang in a way tinitipid yung isda.
Okay.
So
yung well, because it's costly, no? But for me, the more is that it is in proportion to the amount of rice. So yeah, literally, the outcome is affected.
A question from Benz Burgonyo. In Pampanga, do you have the equivalent of the Ilocano binobodan?
Binubudan, yeah.
Binobodan. Do you make that too?
Well, yun na nga, no, para bang binubudan, it's like basically a fermented rice. Period. Walang isda, walang hipon.
Hipon.
So, I've had it, or I've seen it up in the Cordilleras, where where it is a byproduct of the tapoy.
Apoy, yes.
When they ferment the rice, the liquid that is formed, the sour liquid turns into alcohol, and when it is drained, the remaining solid grains of rice, that is the binudbud. So and they eat it as a sour cereal, something like that, which we don't have in Pampanga. We don't have that practice.
Okay. Another question from Raymond Marcaida. Is Buro making pre-colonial?
Yes, I must say so. Yeah, because rice has been there, salt has been there since pre-Hispanic times. So it is, and it was one way of preserving, since there was no refrigeration yet then, but even when refrigeration came about, people were still making buro for its sake, meaning it is a dish in itself that it's an acquired taste nga, but the thing is it's what we are used to, what our panlasa is used to, and you look for that.
Have you encountered documentation on the pre-colonial origins of Buro?
Not really. As I mentioned earlier, there has been no
Yes.
academic study
or research.
or research on buro making.
Okay.
It's just handed down from generation to generation, and then even the practice of making it's like that.
Okay. A question from Brent Raimundo. He nominates this as a personal question. When did you start to eat the buro rice? As it is an acquired taste, did you start when you were still small, as a kid?
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Like, more than anything, like inheriting, like what we are is like just like speaking of languages, when we say when we talk, what we grew up with, like we speak our the mother tongue.
Yes.
Ako, sabi ko literally our mother's panlasa, yung tongue, literally, no? We grow up eating the food that she prepared. So even as small kids, talagang kinakain, I mean, since it's being served on the table on a daily basis practically, so we grow up with it, and as far as we're concerned, it's part of our daily life, meaning, or the staple. So sometimes, like, you would even wonder, bakit walang buro ngayon? So parang ganon, merong isda, hanapin mo yung buro. That's our choice of first choice of sausawan. So really, it's a matter of getting being born to it, literally.
Okay. So I take it your initial experience at Buro was very pleasant.
I don't remember because I mean, of course, it's like an instant thing that you
Yes.
like. If you see it every day, if you see it, more often than not you have it on the table. I guess has always been part of our you can say, diba, every household would have like
Yes.
a group, a set of dishes that maybe
A
that will serve
staple
on a
or
cycle, no, on our rotation.
yes, the usual
So
fare.
yes.
Okay. Sige, sir. Another question from Chris Borbajo. Okay.
Borba.
Kong Claude, any recommendations as to where to buy good buro?
Recommendation? Well, good buro. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a lot in the supermarkets. Well, the main thing, if you don't have access to the wet markets of every wet market around Pampanga, and I must say the Kapampangan speaking towns of
Mhm.
Tarlac, like Capas, Concepcion, Bamban, they would have buro in the wet markets. But this one is raw. You have to gisa it at home, no? So the thing is, I've seen it well, we used to sell our own burong hipon or the balo-balo in supermarkets in Metro Manila just before the pandemic hit. But
Mhm.
then I think we're about to resume that soon. And then of course there's the Navarro brand. They sell buro also. The meaning when they say nowadays when we talk of buro, it's the salt fermented rice with fish. So yun ang yung lang I mean yun ang alam ko as of now, meaning yung it's readily available in supermarkets in Metro Manila.
Okay. Question from Briley Kaigan Acosta. As discussed earlier, we usually use daily or regularly rice. Okay, what if we use other kinds of rice like red rice or brown rice, the unpolished ones? Will it enhance the taste of the buro, or do you expect that it will remain the same?
I've never seen it in the market, really. It's all white rice. Well, at least that's in the Pampanga tradition, no? Unlike up north, like in making tapoy in the Cordilleras, there is the red rice variety, and then you would have a red colored tapoy or a brown colored tapoy or a clear, you can say almost, well, like amber colored tapoy. So in Pampanga, it's just white rice. I've never seen it with any other colored rice.
Okay. And has anyone dared do some experimentation on?
I've never seen. I'm not familiar if there is.
Okay, walang matahapang nga. Okay.
Yes.
Sige, sir. This one comes from a dear friend of Muscat, Mr. Ernesto Hison. He wants to be specific as to where to find the best commercial Pampanga buro. I think you've already uttered that.
Yes, and
supermarket.
I cannot. When we say the best of anything, that's very, very relative. Device is so subjective. So
Yeah.
I mean, I will not even dare answer that thing. You know what, the buro that I like
Yes.
must be
Can you
dalawa lang
share what buro you
yes,
prefer? Where do you
exactly.
get your favorite buro? If you don't happen to make it, or if you're busy, where would you get your own favorite brand or your favorite mix?
Oh, the mix, yes. Yeah. So I will not dare answer that. Yung best
Okay.
buro. Yeah.
Understandable. Okay. Sorry, Sir Ernie. Uh, this is another one from Mr. Marciada. Nakakarami na siya. Do you personally know anyone in Pampanga who does not enjoy eating buro? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, depende rin nga, no? Like
Yes.
going back to the question of which I mean the best buro, finding the best buro. Like in my household alone, the buro of my wife, Marian, who is from Mabalacat nga, na granddaughter niya pong Pepang, their buros, the 30-day fermented rice buro, but and which has like a more pungent, and you can say a bit sour. So in our case, in Angeles City, where we prefer the mild balo-balo or the burong hipon, which is like just
personally
fermented
prefer the
like 5
balo-balo.
days. So we prefer that. I mean, we grew up with that. It's like just like having cheddar cheese, compare it to Stilton, for example, or Roquefort. So again, it's a matter of preference. So I prefer the mild one, and my wife likes the strong, the you can say the biting. What do you call that? What is the term? The extra sharp buro.
Okay.
So yun yung ang ano ko doon, yung sagot ko doon. Kanya-kanya talagang preference.
Okay. A question from Carmela Taob again. Would you then consider eating buro as a common practice among various socio-economic classes among the Kapampangan? The question really is, meron bang buro ng mayaman as distinct from buro ng mahirap?
Yeah, yun ang maganda sa buro eh. Well, I guess just like our adobo, there is no social class that
it cuts
eats
across
it.
social
Like
classes.
it's a very with the term egalitarian adjective, would it apply to that? Meaning it's enjoyed by all classes.
Pero the question, it begs the question, would an affluent household do their buro a different way?
No, it's the same. It's the
The
same.
same.
Because,
Okay.
meaning maybe it's what I would say what could differ in the like it's the ulam, the kind of fish that you eat it with.
Yes.
Some the buro could be the ulam in itself, no? Pero kung medyo which like the mud fish, what we call the bulig or the dalag to the Tagalogs, it's kind of more expensive than your regular hito or tilapia, for example.
Tilapia.
Yes. So if let's say, I mean, this is to peg the thing. Like if tilapia would be like 100 pesos per kilo, ang dalag would be like 150 to 200. Kasi very rare yung, I mean rare, very seasonal yung dalag.
Okay. The questions keep coming, sir. So tuloy-tuloy.
Yeah, go ahead. As long as you have time, I have the time.
Okay.
And
from Luisito Olegario. Bakit daw po ayaw maglagay ng asin? Yung iba, ang sabi baka uuriin daw kasi mabaho daw ang kamay.
Yes, I just said that earlier, sir.
Kaya ba pinalalagay ang asin? Kaya ba ang pinalalagay ay asin?
Well, of course. I mean, asin is an essential part of the ingredient of making buro, like in any curing, any preserving. Salt is really I would say, what? Can you say like the main ingredient, the main factor that will make it a buro? Otherwise, without salt, what will you buro?
Okay, tama nga naman yon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. A personal question, sir.
Sure.
In culinaria, you were one of the authors of culinaria.
Yes.
The food stylist. Buro has been delegated to the area of condiments.
Yes.
While others, especially in restaurants in Pampanga, it is readily served as a side dish. Yun. Ano po ba talaga? Yun.
Yeah, yun ang ano ko, yung when we say, if you put buro with the, I will not say it's a what's the difference between a condiment? I would rather,
Sausawan.
I would rather categorize this as a side. Diba? Sides.
A side dish.
In,
Yes.
sa English. Like, I mean, example na lang to, no? Like when you're having steak
Yes.
in a restaurant, meron kang choice of sides.
Yes.
That could be like mashed potato,
Potato.
French fries,
Yes.
and then the vegetables and all that. So
Salad.
in the same way, in our Filipino way of eating, we have sides, but sometimes, many times, they fall under the term sausawan, no? When we say sausawan, it could be as simple as like vinegar or calamansi with bagoong. Or it could be an elaborate, almost like salad, in the sense like, there you go, it comes as a set. The buro, you have mustasa, which is the fresh mustard leaves, or boiled ampalaya, eggplant, okra, and so forth. But the thing is, like, if you are a coastal town, you're used to the all these three different kinds of seaweed, which you don't eat by itself. You add tomatoes, chopped onions, and then bubudburan mo ng fish bagoong, which is the Ilocano, or the bagoong balaya, no? The what do you call it? The fish fermented paste. Parang anchovy paste. So that's the way we eat. We don't eat our salads per se separately. Salad first. You know, the way we eat our meals. So again, it's a side, meaning a side dish, eaten with a main course, which is like the fish. So I will not say a condiment. When we say condiment, di ba yung pang one of the ingredients in
Binubudbud mo
cooking?
lang yung ulam dun sa...
Yes. Oo.
Okay. Sige, sir. Another question. Veering away from Buro, what is tibok-tibok?
Tibok-tibok. Layo naman nun. Well, tibok-tibok is our like dessert more than anything. When the Tagalogs would, the non-Kapampangs would say it's similar to the Maha Blanca.
Okay.
Well, it could be, yeah, I must say, but it's closer to the Italian panna cotta. It's pure Carabao's milk, and then it is it's mixed with cornstarch as a binder, thickener, and then white sugar. But there's a very, very subtle, you can say a minor, I mean, a very subtle ingredient that you hardly notice, but a true Kapampangan will. It's the rind, the zest of dayap, which nowadays is very, it becomes, it's becoming a rare ingredient. Ang sarap nung, I mean, the amoy of that, dayap is really, I mean, for me, the use of it in Pampango cuisine is becoming very, very, or it's distinctly used in our desserts, and it comes also in making the leche flan, again with Carabao's milk. So the late Abe Cruz, my mentor, said, like, tibok-tibok, the word tibok-tibok must have come from the way it's a literal description of that, well, it's a dessert that when you shake the container, when you see it, it literally like moves, like the heartbeat is like yung tibok niya, yung parang tibok ng puso gumagano, no? Yung jug ganun.
Palpitation.
The palpitation, I guess that's the palpitation, the excitement from the, you know, when you know the first spoonful of it, it's like silky smooth. I will not describe Maha Blanca with
Yes.
with that silky
Yes.
smoothness. Ang hamaha blanca is like so
Mm.
firm, and which we find so heavy. But this one is so light and ano, para bang
It
tapos
melts in your
tama
mouth.
yung timpla na yung tamis at yung subtle flavor of the dayap. Talagang, man, ano bang masasabi ko?
Okay. Sir, towards going back to Buro and focusing on the Buro, are there other versions of Buro, say in other provinces? You spoke about Tarlac and Ilocos, but halimbawa, further south, like in Batangas, or maybe in hindi naman south yun, Nueva Vizcaya or Nueva Ecija na accessible din ng rice, meron din silang rivers na may fish. Are there versions of Buro from those provinces?
Oh yeah, well, I've seen it in Angono, yung restaurant na Balaw-Balaw.
Balaw-Balaw, yes.
Well, again, when you literally translate what Balaw-Balaw is, would be the Balo-Balo of the Kapampangans. It's just like the way we pronounce it and write it. So, and I've seen it in Santa Rosa, Laguna. Again, these are the lakeshore towns, no? That and the way they serve it in Santa Rosa, well, made with rice, salt, and the fresh water fishes from around the Laguna de Bae. But the way they cook it, it's the preparation. Yun ang pagkaiba. They cook it with, I've seen it with bamboo shoot. So, nagisa yun, hindi lang yung kamatis, bawang, sibuyas ng Kapampangan. They go a little further by adding bamboo shoot, and the way they eat it, it's not a side, it's not a condiment, as Mera earlier mentioned, to a fish, to a fried fish. In itself, it's like a vegetable dish. Inuulam na yun with kanin by itself. Hindi na kailangan ng isda. In the same way, the one I've seen in Kamiling Tarlac, ulam na yun. Kasi nga, nandun na yung fermented fish.
Okay. Another question. I think napagod na sila magtanong, pero I have this question before
Go ahead.
we round up. Sir, what is the future of the Buro, considering that yung past yung accounts nyo dito sa talk ninyo, they're usually made by homebound ladies, women who've had the opportunity to prepare them at their leisure and have access to several ingredients. They're all over the place, mapamayaman, mapamahirap. What is the future of Buro, considering that now people are busier, women have to work, and I suppose the lola will not be able to pass on to the apo, considering the apos are professionals or abroad, or and what of the kitchen, the modern kitchen, which is a little more sophisticated, filled and with an inventory of substitutes for ingredients that were previously natural. What is your take on the future of the Buro?
Well, the future of the Buro, we're actually living it. We buy it bottled in the supermarkets. Nobody makes Buro, I mean, even from before. Maybe it's the Buro appreciation, I think, what is diminishing more than the Buro making. So, because it's so difficult to make. But I don't know, like from my personal experience, I have a grand nephew, like, who eats Buro like anything. Para bang yun ang kinakanin niya, no? So I cannot generalize that it's a dying. Is that what you're saying? That it's a dying tradition?
Well, I would like your take on if it indeed.
Yeah. So, but the thing, it will go on. I mean, as long as like the Buro maker of a particular town will continue, will pass on the tradition as long, I mean, to the next generation, as long as there is a market for it. And of course, the Buro making of that family remains at well, I must say it's a well-guarded secret, no? Kasi that's their livelihood. So I guess it will remain. It will remain as there is a market for it.
Okay. O kasi, halimbawa, sir, pupunta ako
Yeah.
sa mga restaurant sa Pampanga, nawawala na yung buro as part of the offering for
The offering? Really?
hindi daw available minsan kasi wala daw gawa.
Siguro, and then there you go, walang gawa. That means
Yes.
nauubos.
Yes, so.
They cannot make it fast enough. Kasi you need time to prepare the buro talaga.
Okay. Okay. Sige. Thank you, sir, for answering all our questions. Wala na pong nagtanong.
Wala na nagtanong.
Oh,
Ikaw, baka may tanong ka pa rin.
Well, no, well, tinanong ko na, sir.
Yeah.
I hope to find buro pag bumalik ako sa Pampanga.
Yeah, I would well, not to advertise any specific but I might as well say it's like everybody's cafe. They serve it like 365 days of the year. You'll find it there. Even in Manila, in Quezon City, there's Trellis Restaurant.
Trellis.
Yes. So that's the one behind
City Hall.
the Quezon City Hall.
Yes.
On Kalayaan Street, and it has been serving it since 1980. And their buro, I must say, remains the same since the day they opened.
Any other than Trellis, sir? Where do we find good buro in Metro Manila?
Good buro. I'm not sure if like all Kabalen restaurants, being Kapampangan owned, serve it. So
Yes, they do.
I think Abe Restaurant
Abe
of the LJC Group serves it. So hindi ko alam yung iba. I think I'm not sure if yeah. I guess that's about it. Meaning basta hanapin mo pag sinabing Kapampangan
restaurant.
Yeah.
They
Siguradong
definitely should have
magsaserve ng
buro.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any last words or any message for our audience? I'm sure nagugutom na sila ngayon at maghahanap ng buro for later or tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, wala. Ano bang masasabi ko? Basta puro talaga. It's like, not especially nowadays nga, no? It has become like a Kapampangan. For me, it's like not just an essential dish, aside, kung ano man tawag nyo dyan, na if you want to experience like a truly Kapampangan dish, more than the buro itself, it's the way, the set, the pares, ika nga nowadays, no, that we eat it with. It's really the buro that defines us.
I have to ask, sir, hindi naman pinagbabawal sa may sakit sa puso, di ba? Or diabetes or
diabetes. Well, the diabetes would come from the rice, I guess, no? But more than anything, you know, a long time ago, I had this attack of gout. So I went to this what you call the alternative doctor.
Okay.
So ang kanyang observation, sabi niya, like 80% of my patients are Kapampangan. Talaga po, sabi kong ganon. So and he attested to our diet as Kapampangans. High in salt, high in cholesterol.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to turn over the virtual floor to Miss Cora for the concluding remarks, concluding segment of our session this afternoon. Miss Cora?
Tita Cora.
Thank you very much also, Cloud, for waking up at this time of mid-morning.
It's my
I don't know if
pleasure.
people realize that it is exactly 12 hours away. You are in New
Away.
York. And
Yes.
of course, for replying to the questions of foodies, amateur cooks, amateur writers, and the many who are curious about the buro. I must say I enjoyed the buro I tried in your house. I must correct what I said in the intro. Buro is not only fermented rice, but also whatever foodstuff has undergone fermentation. Mango, fish, shrimp, talangka, of course, and so on. Buro seems to be the equalizer. No, it cuts across
Yes.
communities, no, status and financial standing. We share certain foods or processes used to prepare food with our neighbors in the south. No, I remember eating fermented rice in Terengganu in Malaysia. It contained no protein. It was just rice, no? Unlike the buro we ate in your house. The Malaysian buro version that I had was wrapped in a banana leaf and was treated like a sweet rather than a savory. It was very good by itself, but it was served with durian stewed in sweetened coconut milk or gata. One lady who was with us, a Malaysian living in England, said that in London, she concocts the fermented rice and serves it with vanilla ice cream. Can you beat that? Yeah. So, indeed, food is an essential part of life, a source of pleasure and delight, an indicator of good times and bad as well. Food, as much as religion and family, holds communities together, friends together. To our communities of friends, participants, and various audiences, thank you for following MusKKat's 2023 lecture series. We hope to see you next month, May, which is Heritage Month. MusKKat's May lecture will feature an object of our cultural patrimony. MusKKat continues to celebrate Philippine culture, and we invite you to join us. Please go to our Facebook page for announcements and follow and like us on our new Instagram account, MusKKatIG, and our usual YouTube and Spotify. Keep safe and well. Till soon, Cloud. Continue to stay to enjoy your stay in the US. I wish you all the best with your art show. I hope you get sold out, and I hope the book is getting a very good reception. After all, adobo is for Filipinos here and abroad and everywhere. So till soon, magandang hapon sa kanilang lahat.
Magandang hapon din.